One. So the best thing I need you to do is you're intoxicated, you're drunk, and you're driving that car, and I'm tempted to call Jacksonville police on you right now.
Call them.
I'm going to.
You know what?
If I was you, I would get home because you are very intoxicated.
You know what?
And I'm sorry, you made that decision. I didn't.
What's up, Leslie? Dude.
Caught on camera, here's part of the encounter that led to Jacksonville City Council member Michael Dietz facing felony charges. Thank you for joining us for this week's 11 on 11. I'm Ashley King. Tensions inside the Jacksonville North Pulaski School District are growing. The district is already facing criticism for how it handled sexual assault allegations against a custodian at the school. Now, Bayou Meadow Principal Lindsey Jones' father, Jacksonville City Council member Mike Dietz, is facing felony charges after an altercation that followed the hearing where she fought to keep her job. THV 11's Catherine Rowley shows you what happened and where the case goes from here.
Y'all are so.
Well, I'm not drunk driving.
Well, you know
That's
what?
Hey, I'm not drinking and driving, going to hurt somebody and kill some. Matter of fact, I shouldn't let you get in that car. Matter of fact, I'm not going to let you get in that
you're
car.
not gonna stop me.
I'm going to take your car. I'm doing it.
Behind the wheel of that car is Mike Dietz, who is now facing charges for aggravated assault, refusal to submit to arrest, driving while intoxicated, and refusal to submit a chemical test.
So the best thing I need you to do is you're intoxicated, you're drunk, and you're driving that car, and I'm tempted to call Jacksonville police on you right now.
Call them.
The altercation on Friday was caught by Assistant Superintendent Bobby Lester's phone. It comes after months of tension between Dietz, his daughter, and the Jacksonville North Pulaski School District. His daughter, Lindsey Jones, resigned after an incident involving her supervisor at the district. But this isn't the first time her family has clashed with school officials.
That's when her family members started to make crude comments and actually chased her, walked her down in the school, and Dr. Walker had to shut herself behind a locked door because of this.
After the board meeting on Friday, Dietz allegedly drove drunk to the Old Pinewood Elementary School, where the incident escalated into threats and an alleged aggravated assault.
Buddy. Lester, you're going down, buddy.
This video also shows Dietz threatening Assistant Superintendent Lester moments before backing up his vehicle, then driving it forward towards district officials and speeding away.
I need to see his car tag number.
What's up, Leslie? Dude. We reached out to the school district. They declined an on-camera interview, but said in a statement that the incident is under review and leaders are cooperating with investigators. They added they're grateful no one was hurt. The city of Jacksonville says that it's aware of the councilman's arrest, but wouldn't comment further because it's an ongoing legal matter. Though the statement added elected officials are still expected to meet high standards of conduct. Dietz has not responded to our request for comment. Dietz pled not guilty to all 4 charges. He is due back in court in May. In Jacksonville, Catherine Rowley, THV 11 News.
Catherine, thanks. In Cleveland County, a teacher at Heber Springs High School arrested and now faces child sex crime charges. White County Sheriff's deputies arrested 30-year-old David Isaac Gavi this week. The arrest affidavit details Gavi allegedly exchanging nude pictures with a minor girl for more than 2 years and soliciting pictures from her while knowing her age. He reportedly admitted to the exchanges during a sheriff's interview. Former England High School assistant principal Trent Morgan appearing in a Lonoke County courtroom this week. He pleaded not guilty to rape and child grooming charges. Here's video of when police arrested Morgan last November after claims of misconduct with a 14-year-old student. Morgan resigned from the district after his arrest. His next court date is in June. Now to new developments in the capital murder case against Andrew McGann. Filings show the defense and prosecution at odds over whether the death penalty should be on the table. McGann is the man accused of fatally stabbing a married couple at Devil's Den State Park last July. The court debate centers on videos from Washington County Prosecutor Brandon Carter. Emily Moss explains what's in these videos.
Do I think that's a direct violation of the order? No. Do I think it is a violation of the spirit of the order? I would say yes.
New filings in the McGann case focus on two specific videos from prosecutor Brandon Carter. In a campaign ad for Carter's run for the Court of Appeals, McGann's booking photo appears while Carter says he is taking criminals, quote, off the streets.
Dangerous criminals off our streets.
The other video shows Carter presenting publicly about major cases in his office, including McGann's, though he does say he cannot comment on the case.
This guy's name is Andrew McGann. This is the Devil's Den case. Essentially, I'm not allowed to say anything that relates to the facts of the case. I'm not allowed to speculate on its guilt or innocence. Really, all I can do is talk about logistics.
Now, McGann's attorneys argue these public references could sway potential future jurors, and they are asking the death penalty be removed from the case out of concerns of a prejudiced jury. Carter responded in filing saying he did not discuss evidence, its weight, or McGann's guilt in these videos. Adam Rose, an unaffiliated criminal attorney, says these gag orders exist to protect the jury pool and ensure impartiality.
Parties involved in a case are limited to what they can and cannot say about a case. The reason being is it allows for transparency and fairness when regards to a jury pool.
He adds that in this circumstance, the answer is not clear-cut whether Carter violated the order.
I think just having the photo up there and saying these people were quote-unquote murdered, I think it's tricky because that is public information and he's not necessarily talking about the weight of the evidence. Do I think it's a black and white violation? No.
The filings request that the court consider the cumulative impact when deciding how to proceed, asking the judge to remove the death penalty as a result. Carter, in his response, says removing the death penalty is unnecessary, instead arguing that the proper remedy, if there is a concern about juror bias, would be a change of venue or careful jury selection to ensure a fair trial.
This case has gotten so much national news attention as well. So is moving it out of Washington County or the state of Arkansas going to do much? I think in regards to these political ads, maybe. I do think she is going to make it very, very clear that any mention of this case in the public by anybody will be met with some stern words and potential ramifications by the court.
The filings are now pending before Judge Taylor, who has not yet set a hearing for her ruling on the matter. As of now, McGann's next hearing will be April 1st. And Tuesday, voters in some rural Arkansas communities will decide whether to form their own school districts. The decision comes under Act 919, which allows certain previously consolidated districts to go their own way once again. Supporters say the law gives small communities a chance to keep their schools open. We spoke with Searcy County School District Superintendent Valerie McCleary on her district's plans on merging with Timbo, but remaining independent at the same time.
They will get to have their own board and maintain that local control and make the decision at any point. Is this the best thing for us? Maybe yes or no. They could still have that ability to do that. And it's a model that preserves public education, rural public education in small communities when we are facing challenging times.
Voters in those districts considering going independent or separating will find the question on their ballots when they head to the polls through next Tuesday. Some early voting numbers are in. Pulaski County is already outpacing turnout from 4 years ago. In the state's most populated county, many Democratic voters in the state deciding who will take on Republican incumbents this fall. THV 11's Tanya Motorzitsky looks at the changes this year in the GOP primary those voters may face.
Before Arkansas voters ever touch a ballot, the choices they offer depend on party registration. Arkansas GOP is holding a partially closed primary, meaning not all voters are eligible to vote in the same races. Election officials say that distinction is more noticeable this year as voting numbers climb. What this means for voters in this election cycle is that registered Democrats are prohibited from voting in Republican primary races. This is a new rule. In the past, primary elections have been open, allowing voters to vote on either Republican or Democratic ballots. The Democrat primaries are still open. I spoke with Pulaski Circuit and County Clerk Terry Hollingsworth about a potential reason for this change.
It does not address voter fraud or whether or not it helps voters. It certainly helps the Republican Party know that those folks who are actually voting in their primary are actual Republicans, or at least have registered as Republicans.
Now, if you are registered nonpartisan, you can vote on either ballot. Hollingsworth says there is time to change party affiliations if you wish.
Someone can go to the voting polls, and they can actually switch their party if they want to. But I would tell you that by and large, most people are registered optional on the voter registration data. There are some who've actually put Republican or Democrat, but they can also see that information if they pull up Voter View.
In Pulaski County, Tanya Motorzitzky, THV 11 News.
Thank you, Tanya. And a reminder, no matter which party you choose, the nonpartisan races will show up on your touchscreen when you enter the voting booth. And if you live in Sherwood or North Little Rock, you may also have the candidates in the special election for House District 70 to choose from as well. And we've been following the top races across the state since early voting began last week, previewing not only the primaries happening now, but looking ahead to major races voters will decide on this November, like governor and representatives in Congress. If you missed any of them, you can find them on thv11.com or streaming on THV11 Plus. Over in Arkadelphia, the Clark County Humane Society has announced the shelter will no longer take pit bulls. The board of directors announced last week that once the last of their pit bulls or pit bull mixes are adopted out, they won't take any more. Interim director Les Kent says they're not against that particular breed, but the dogs do tear up facilities, and the moratorium helps solve other issues.
We have a severe overcrowding situation. We have a condition situation with our shelter, and we have adoption challenges with the pit bulls.
The shelter has also had issues with flooding, outdated facilities, and noise from nearby trains. Kent says they're currently looking for a new piece of land to call home. Gambling companies FanDuel and DraftKings could soon be operating in Arkansas. The gambling giants put in their applications to operate in the state last week, and the state's racing commission decided on them Thursday. THV11's Carter Thweed explains the new potential partnerships and why it didn't come without some controversy.
We're expecting it to grow about 5 times what it is today.
Oaklawn General Manager Wayne Smith says Arkansas's gambling revenue will skyrocket with this deal. It'll see FanDuel acting as a vendor for a new mobile app by Oaklawn, helping them with betting lines, app infrastructure, and more.
If you have the backing of a national company like FanDuel, and in their case DraftKings, I think really helps expedite, as I mentioned, that 5x growth.
In exchange for serving as a vendor on these new apps, FanDuel will get a percentage of the revenue. Same for DraftKings with Southland. But the decision didn't come without controversy. Carlton Safa with Saracen, the state's other casino, made an impassioned plea for the Racing Commission to turn it down.
We have a system that is working for Arkansas. It is one that others want to replicate. If you allow this, you will break that system.
Safa pointed out several reasons, claiming that Oaklawn and Southland were against partnering with out-of-state entities just 5 years ago. He also said caution was needed so as to not violate the 51% rule, that 51% of the revenue from any partnership must stay with the in-state casino.
Are they showing their work on how they can comport with the 51 rule? That's a serious and sincere question, because they told you this was impossible just a few years ago.
But the commission didn't see anything in the agreements that violates the law and voted unanimously to approve them. Afterwards, a spokesperson for the Department of Finance and Administration told me just how fast things could start moving.
In a matter of days, maybe a couple of weeks, if you are using one of those two apps, then you'll soon see an entirely new framework. I mean, it'll be ultimately, you'll see FanDuel technology or DraftKings technology.
In Little Rock, Carter Thweet, THV 11 News.
Thank you, Carter. Scott Harden with the DFA says that the department will have auditors in the casinos to make sure that the 51% rule is followed. The Department of Finance and Administration doesn't have an official position on the issue, but Harden did say they expect more tax revenue for Arkansas as a result of this change. Financial experts say by all metrics, the economy is in decent shape, but high prices and stagnant incomes remain a concern. After the break, how those economic factors can weigh on your mental health. Welcome back. The Arkansas Department of Health says flu cases are still on the rise across the state. But compared to this time last year, the numbers are lower. In Northwest Arkansas, some school districts say they're seeing that same trend. Claire Everbach shares what schools and health officials are seeing.
The director of nursing for Siloam Springs Schools tells me while they're still seeing students come in with flu-like symptoms, they're not seeing as many fevers or as many students sent home sick compared to last year. She says education and daily cleaning protocols have been a big focus this flu season. State health officials also say small prevention steps can make a big difference. School nurses in Siloam Springs say they've been reminding students and parents to wash their hands frequently, cover coughs and sneezes, and stay home until they're symptom-free for at least 24 hours. The district is also disinfecting classrooms daily to help cut down on the spread of germs. And at the state level, the Arkansas Department of Health says the flu can spread easily by touching contaminated surfaces. While simple habits like hand washing and coughing into your elbow are effective, they say the most important step people can take to protect themselves and others is getting the flu vaccine.
It's extremely important that people do take advantage of getting the flu vaccine, and they can go to their, primary care physician, or they can go to any local health department, any local health unit with the Department of Health and receive a flu vaccine for free.
Thank you, Claire. With flu season typically peaking in January and February, it's not quite over yet. Even if you haven't gotten the vaccine yet, health officials say it's not too late to do so. Nationwide, the CDC says nearly 1,000 measles cases have been confirmed in the first 2 months of 2026. The number of confirmed cases so far this year is already nearing the total number of cases identified all of last year. More than half of those cases come from a major outbreak in South Carolina, where there have been more than 600 cases. Good news for us here in Arkansas, 0 confirmed cases so far this year after 8 positive tests in 2025. Medicaid beneficiaries must soon comply to new work and community engagement requirements. The program will apply to healthy adults enrolled in Our Home, the state's Medicaid expansion, often called the private option. You'll be required to volunteer or attend classes for at least 20 hours per week. The Department of Human Services will launch a soft implementation starting July 1st.
It's just important to get customers ready. And also to just help them use this as an opportunity to increase, their earnings, their earning potential, find a career, and gain independence.
These new requirements differ slightly from those put in place in Arkansas back in 2018. Back then, failure to check in resulted in people losing their coverage. This time, the state says it will suspend coverage while working with beneficiaries to get into compliance. Inflation, prices, the economy, those topics are top of mind year-round, but especially every time we have an election. For many, that can lead to stress and a whole lot more. THV 11's Carter Thweet explores the psychology of affordability.
People have this feeling that, these prices we experienced in the past may never be coming back.
Jeremy Horpedal is an associate professor of economics at the University of Central Arkansas. He says by all the official metrics, the economy is in decent shape.
Unemployment is at almost the lowest it's ever been. Wages are continuing to grow, even though prices are going up. In general, wages have been outpacing price increases.
But he says the average American doesn't seem to feel that way.
If you look at consumer sentiment about the economy, how people feel about it, it's actually kind of the worst it's been, equal to what it was in the depths of the pandemic.
He mentions layoffs and uncertainty about things like AI and tariffs, plus less confidence equals less spending.
If people are uncertain, they'll spend less money. And if they're spending less money, then that's going to lead to less job creation and less economic activity.
It just depends on the person and their resources and their systems.
UAMS social worker Adam Dodd knows what he sees. A large percentage of his patients are struggling financially.
60-70% of clients, report affordability issues that ultimately impact their mental health.
That's something Gary Winkler struggles with. He lives in Pulaski County and teaches at Pulaski Tech.
I suffer from bipolar disorder and anxiety disorder.
He teaches part-time, which means he spends roughly 4 months of the year without a paycheck.
I've been off contract, so I don't have a paycheck from December 15th to February 15th.
Generally, Winkler, who lives in an RV with his service dog, saves up to pay for these off months.
I always put $100 a paycheck into savings, and so I have some left over from the summer months.
But this year, his dog hurt his back, his car wouldn't start, and his brakes stopped working. Total cost of repairs and vet bills, $1,800.
That totally wiped out my savings, so I had to borrow money from a relative.
He says mentally this manifests itself with things like panic attacks and embarrassment.
Sometimes I feel like a failure because I can't manage it on my own.
Dodd says that's normal.
There is a stigma associated with financial stress that a lot of people experience, and which ultimately leads to more mental health related issues.
And it can lead to one of the most damaging positions a person can be in, as we learned during the pandemic, isolation.
It's very hard for that person, to admit that they may not be able to do certain things because of the cost. And so this often tends to cause people to isolate from other people.
Dodd says you need to have compassion on yourself if you're struggling, and community resources and having empathy for each other are going to be key. While these problems aren't going away, we can look out for one another.
Just having empathy and understanding that everyone's situation is different, and that's okay. How are we going to use our resources to help one another rather than criticize or judge?
For THV 11 News, I'm Carter Thweet.
Carter, thank you. In a recent study from the U.S. News and World Report, Arkansas ranked first in affordability among all 50 states. However, we also ranked 47th in average household income. Gold medal success from Team USA is inspiring a local hockey group. The win is fueling their ambitions and supporting big aspirations on the ice. Well, 1 week ago, Team USA men and women brought home gold in hockey in the Winter Olympic Games. And here in Central Arkansas, young hockey players say they feel inspired. THV 11's Journey Taylor hits the ice with a local team that says the sport is growing one goal at a time.
The sound of skates cutting across the ice is getting louder in Central Arkansas.
It really inspires our kids, and it makes this feel real to them.
For Little Rock ace players like George Leonard,
very exciting.
Watching the Olympics had them cheering and dreaming big.
Screaming and yelling.
For many, the moment was more than just a win. It was proof that their dreams are possible. And watching together made the moment even more special.
We were all jumping up and down. It was crazy. We were all just so happy, and it was a great opportunity for our team to bond together watching the Olympics.
While hockey may not be the first sport people think of in Arkansas, local leaders who volunteer for the love of the game say the sport is gaining momentum.
Events, these big titles, the big cups, the gold medals, I think that sparks the interest, and I think people realize, oh, hey, we do have hockey here in Arkansas, and I think it does promote the growth of this organization. It has grown year over year, and this year we have over 100 kids in the program versus 70, in years prior.
With only 2 ice rinks in the state, one right along Bowman Road in Little Rock and the other in Northwest Arkansas, they are looking to get the word out.
Still here all the time. There's ice skating in Little Rock, there's hockey in Little Rock, and we want Central Arkansas to know we have players coming from 2 hours every direction to play here with our team because they're that committed to the organization. And so, it's hard to get extra ice. There's figure skaters, there's ice skaters. We want as many opportunities for our kids as possible, and we want to keep growing the sport.
And for many of the young players, seeing faces they can relate to makes it even better.
I love Hillary Knight from the Women's Olympics team. I think she's a great role model, and I think her goals were very awesome. Opportunities for women playing hockey are high, and I think one day I could be able to do that.
Perfect goals to epic moments.
It's not funny or amusing, but it's kind of cool to see someone's front tooth get knocked out by a stick.
The gold could be theirs, but in the meantime, they are sticking to it, and maybe one day they'll be the ones standing on that podium. In Little Rock, Journey Taylor, THV 11 News.
Journey, thank you. The 14U team is actually looking to win their own gold this weekend. They're heading back to St. Louis to play in the championship game for their division. That will do it for us here on THV 11 Plus. We'll see you next week.